All right, gang. I know some of you watch my channel and you thought after over 800 uploads that I figured out how to use YouTube. And you could not be wronger. You could you could not be wrong. You could not be wronger about that. And yeah, I just made a production decision while the countdown was rolling to totally change the order of operations of this show here. So I fucked the game all the way up. But look, y'all, I got Uncle Bobby with me. We're gonna fucking get into some real ass shit. It's gonna be
Let's
fucking
do it.
amazing. But I fucked the show all the way up. So now I'm gonna play the intro video, use the little boy's room, and we'll be right back.
Ready for takeoff?
Whoa. Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Brown James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Shut the John on them jets, cause you wildin'. But the bowl is a party on the island, moment of silence. So good, get back to the topic. Grew up, it was me and Flocka. Grandma's and Big T, this my mama. I ain't even for the pain when my pots flip. Knew his name, that's it, never bothered. Mom said, you the man, son, you got this. Ever since I found a way to go and pop shit. Hold up, blaze through a whole zip. Took a seat at the table of my first flip. Days in red roof with my first whip. Split the money with the gang, never post pics. Seen a change in the game, had to coach it. Never let them take my wangs in the mold, bitch. Ever made in a month, nigga. Used to serve him at the minute just to front, nigga. Goddamn. Had to grow up quick, I made my own rules. Had my first child, got it jumping with music. Can't really hang with nobody who losing. I thought by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that zag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at, started ballin' now. Chris Paul and Cats got them steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back, and that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic devices, but note that some items may not be used at any time during the flight. You'll find a list of approved devices in the in-flight information section.
All right. So let's do this. We're gonna play the clip from the Apostate Sisters, but before we do, let me introduce y'all to this mountain of a man. The roughest, the toughest, the biggest, the baddest, the man with muscles in places you did not even know you have places. The 54-inch pythons, the 113-inch chest, the man built out of solid black onyx and granite.
I like that
Robert motherfucking Reed.
That one was all right. That one was all right. That was good. I like that. Honest.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, yeah, right. Not a single exaggeration. The numbers are all perfectly.
I like that. I like it.
You know, I have to say before we get into a bit of the bio, you're my favorite YouTuber. I tell people that all the time. I play your stuff in my classes. I tell my students that, you know, I think not only you're very entertaining, I think you are a tremendous counter apologist. I think that it takes some experience to understand all of the arguments and all of the bullshit and be able to respond to it. And then most people who can, oh my God, they're just borderline unwatchable because the content is so dry and uninteresting. So yeah, I really, really do value your
Thank you.
approach to
Thank you.
things,
Thank you.
and you should know that I use your stuff all the time in the class, and my students love it, and it
I hope
contributes
you
to
get
the
your job.
curriculum. Yeah, I say not for long, but that's okay. At least my students get a kick out of it. So before we get into the more substantive portion of the bio, I am a sports fan. Fuck all the audience. Fuck all this secular bullshit. All y'all secularists that are all like, we don't watch sports. We don't like the sports ball. I'll give a fuck. I'll give a fuck. My man has legitimate fucking football credentials.
Yeah.
You're in my man cave at the moment. Motherfucker, tell us about these goddamn football stories. Give us a brief
Oh,
synopsis of the football career.
oh man. Jesus, where do I start?
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, fun fact, my mom did not want me to play football at all. And I had to beg and beg and beg and beg. And finally, my seventh grade year, because all my friends had started playing ball, Pee Wee League in elementary
Mm.
school. And I begged, and there's no way she's going to let me do it. And then finally, I still, the word for word quote, my father is just like, CB, just let that boy play some damn ball. And she
Wow.
relented. And I was like, oh, I get to play. And I remember she got nose to nose with me. I'll never forget. And she said, fine, you can play, but I will never watch a single one of your games. And I mean, just ripped my heart right
Wow.
out of my chest. Well, guess who ended up being the world's biggest liar? Because from the moment I strapped on a helmet, she never missed a single game, no matter where I played. And I have played
Wow.
outside of the United States.
Wow.
So, had a decent high
Wow.
school career enough to get letters from everywhere, pretty much above the Ivy Leagues. Not that I would have qualified anyway. Went to the University of Texas, had some fun there. Made CFA All American in 1994. Uh, Signed a contract with the Eagles. That didn't last long. Came back here, finished up my degree plan, and I was it in physics because I had two more classes to finish up to get my degree. And I'm shows you how old I am. My pager went off, and it was my agent, and he was like, "Pack your bags. I got you a job in Hamilton." And so I finished my degree, went and played a year in Hamilton, and that was really it. And my mom did not miss the games that I played, even when I was in Canada. So that part was
Wow.
kind of cool. But yeah,
Wow.
I
Wow.
got some good memories here. Got some game balls, got my Letterman's award, got some rings, got the stuff over here. But yeah, no, I actually played sports ball once upon a time. Hence the reason why I've had half a dozen back surgeries, 13 years on Vicodin, and yeah, I've got the limp to prove it. I've got the limp to prove it.
Yeah, and you don't talk about it much, but you did, I think, get hooked on the painkillers at some point, so you kind of
I did.
survived that
Yeah,
experience as well.
yeah. So back in my day, Sonny, there were no yoga, Pilates. You barely got massages. All you had to do was say, "Hey, this hurts." You had a bottle. You didn't really ask what was in it. You just knew that the pain in your leg, your back, your shoulder just kind of went away. And even after you stop playing, no one ever really tells you Vicodin, hydrocodone, tramadol, that this is temporary. This is to get you through this season. Then we need to work on some therapeutics, surgeries, just whatever you have to do. No one tells you that this is a temporary season. Back then, they just kept giving it to you. And it is
Mm,
very, very easy because here's the reason, boys and girls. it, you want to know why it's a controlled substance? It works. It
mm,
works. And
mm,
it makes your brain, the more you take it, the more it makes your brain think. If you average a 4.5, the more you take painkillers, your brain makes you think you're at a 5.5. It tricks your brain into thinking you're in more pain. So when you get off, you're still in pain, but your
mm.
pain decreases to its natural level. And so it's a bear. It is an absolute bear. But hey, if you get just a little PSA, if you get hooked on that smack, you can get off the smack. You can. You can. And there's no shame in admitting that you're on that stuff. If you need to get off, get the fuck off. Search for the help you need. You're not weak. You're not soft. You got hooked on a drug. It's not a character defect. That shit is
Yeah.
made for a reason, and the shit works.
Yeah.
So if you need to get off
Yeah.
that smack, just get off the smack.
Yeah.
Take whatever road you have to get down to get off of it.
And then I think you have bipolar as well.
Absolutely. I went
So do
45
I.
years. Yeah, I remember we talked about that. Yeah, it's I'm just a little bit older than cousin Jay here's, but just so you guys know, yeah, back in my day, Sonny, that this was not a topic of conversation.
Mm,
And we got something in common. We are a minority within a minority, right?
mm,
Mental illness was not talked
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Still not talked
down,
about really.
yeah, yeah. And for us, it's like if you ever spoke up and said, "Hey, mom, dad, I'm depressed," and I was like, "Carry your ass outside and play. I got bills to pay."
Right.
That shit off,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, I got diagnosed. I think at 45,
Wow.
some shit went down, and
Wow.
I
Wow.
remember what really kicked it off. I was at work, and I just started crying. There was no
Damn.
reason. I just broke down, and I remember the person sitting next to me was like, "What's wrong?" And she was rubbing my back, and I just remember saying the same thing. I don't know.
Mm,
What's wrong? What's wrong? I don't know. I
mm,
don't
mm.
know. And then I canceled the rest of my day, and I came home, and the next day, my phone's blown up. People were, "Where is he?" And that was kind of my journey, where it's just like, okay, we got to do something about this. So yeah, that's when I got diagnosed. That was a rough path.
All right, I want to totally give us a last little return to football real quick. And I have a reason for asking this question, and I hope you don't mind me
Hit me.
asking. If you don't want to answer, go for it.
Try.
But you had a little bit of a taste of the NFL life
Yeah.
and the professional life in Canada.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
you can compare that to what it was like at the University of Texas, which to most people is a professional football program hosted by a school.
100%. 100%.
How would you describe that change in level and what that meant as a player, and then how it differed in the NFL versus Canada?
Once you make the jump to the pros, and I just want to make clear, I was not that guy. Canton will not be calling my name anytime soon. I was basically an overpaid tackling dummy. I made the roster, but just so we're clear, I was not that guy. But
Mm,
the difference between college and pro, first and foremost, is the speed. They're not bullshitting.
mm.
And I still remember my first inter squad scrimmage. If I'm not mistaken, Jermaine Mayberry. So I remember he was from Texas A&M Kingsville. Who makes the pros from A&M
Yeah, that's
Kingsville?
a
Yeah,
satellite campus. Wow,
yeah. You're just
wow,
like, who the fuck is this dude?
wow.
He's an offensive guard, and I still remember they were running a trap. It's a scrimmage. This isn't even a game. I'm sitting there, the tight end blocks down. I squeeze the hell out of the air, and I don't think I had time to blink. I just remember it was like, holy shit! Here's a 305-pound man who's on top of me, faster before I could even take a breath. The speed of the game is so different. And I played at a high
Wow.
level in college.
Right,
The
right.
pros, it's something totally different. But mentally, the difference is you're so used to saying, I'm going to practice. You're going to work. You're dealing with people's ability to feed their families, save for retirement. It's just like any other job. And so there's a huge mindset difference when you go from college to the pros. And the difference between the NFL and the CFL is worlds of difference. First and foremost, they lied. Oh, we love Americans and we can't wait to have you in Canada. They shit on me so fucking hard. When I got cut, I celebrated. I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of there. And there was
Holy shit.
oh yeah, and then you're rolling countrysides. And I openly admit, I was in Hamilton, Ontario. And so it's like judging the entirety of the state of Texas on Vire. And so I'm admitting that I didn't get out much. but it was cold, it was gray, it was dreary, and George Bush Jr. was the president back then. Do not fix your mouth to say that you came from Texas. They targeted you. You were an asshole. So much, in fact, that during that time it was the world's fastest man. For those of you old enough to remember, it was Michael Johnson from Waco, Texas, which is about 2 hours north of me. It was Michael Johnson, a Texan, versus Donovan Bailey, a Canadian. They picked up distance that was very unusual, but it was going to meet Donovan's sprinting speed to Michael's 200 and quarter mile speed. It was like the Black Panthers sat in the room with the Ku Klux Klan. Canadians versus the Americans. And at the time, there were like 3 Texans on the team, and they just took their turn, pulling their pants down and shitting all over our faces. And Donovan Bailey won, which made it nightmare existence for us. It was horrible. I did not enjoy my time in Canada, but I only spent a very short time in a very small part of Canada. I just didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah, I think so much of the story though is interesting to people in the audience, because part of why I asked that question was for you to be able to speak to there being a difference in levels. Whereas for most people, first of all, something like high school All-American recruited to college sounds like the pinnacle of sports achievement, right?
Yeah.
Then you have this experience at the University of Texas, winning championships, All-Americans, all this. But you're looking, because I've heard some more of your stories, you're talking about other people in your locker room. Like, I ain't even really the guy on this team. Like, it's this other guy, and this other dude, and this other dude. I don't want none of this smoke with them, right?
No.
And then
what's that?
And then you did well enough at that to make it to sign an NFL contract and to play professional football in Canada. Again, most of us, that's the pinnacle of sports achievement. We can't even fathom that level of accomplishment. But you are going, yeah, I'm just a glorified tackling dummy out here. I'm actually just I'm just a warm body on a cold field.
But you know what it's like though? I bullshit you not. It's like getting your first degree black belt. You work your ass. All you hear about is black belt, black belt, black belt, black belt, black belt. And then you get your first degree black belt.
Right.
And when I was a 3rd degree brown belt, and again, I still say the most dangerous man on the planet is a 3rd degree brown belt in Kanji Kimbo. I'm a 7th degree black belt right now, and I would be afraid to fight brown belt in Kanji Kimbo. You've never been hungrier in your life. If someone told you to eat a brick, you would do it without question. But I still remember Tony Morrell, my instructor, told me, black belt is the beginning of true learning. All black belt means that you mastered the basics. You ain't shit. And I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. Because your first year as a black belt, you just go from school to school to school to school to basically learn how much you don't know. And the way they teach you is they beat you. They beat you. My first fight was with Grandmaster Mike Fillmore. We were built the same. So I was like, okay, what seems to be the problem? This man proceeded to beat me like I owed him $20 from 13 years ago. He kicked me. I still remember. He kicked me so hard in the ribs with the kick I didn't even see. It was the first time in my life I can honestly say the word quit just hit my brain. I was like, I'm quitting. I was like, wait, what? I thought he broke something.
Wow.
And you realize you don't know shit. And now that I'm a 7th degree black belt, looking back at 1st degree black belt, you don't know shit. 1st degree black belt is the beginning of true learning. You don't know anything as a 1st degree black belt. On the outside, it looks cool. Right. But for those of us that know, you're just like, oh, go get me a cup of coffee. It's scrub. You don't know shit. It's a learning experience. It's a curve.
So to relate that kind of to my own experience and kind of why I was asking those type of questions is I'm going through the same thing as a PhD. And I did a
I would
stream the
imagine.
other day where I talked a little bit just about some of the things I've been a part of in life, some of the things I've been able to accomplish. And I think people were overwhelmed hearing what to them sounded like a lot of me bragging about shit. And then the other day I was on Mighty Philbert's channel and just kind of summarized my academic background a little bit and what I teach. And, you know, I could tell people were impressed. And I appreciate that. But I was thinking of the
Right.
same thing of the reality is I'm only in my second full year as a faculty member. I did get a
Mm.
dual PhD and a master's degree and all of this shit. And I did a postdoc, but you know, that was all finishing my training. And now I'm only in my
Wow.
second full year as a faculty member and I'm just starting my career. And in
Mm.
my field, like you talked about being in the pros, everybody has a PhD. And the speed of the game is different because my
I
peers are
would
no longer
imagine.
grad students. My peers are all
Yeah.
these other faculty members who have been doing
Yeah.
research and teaching for the same 40 years I've been on the planet. Some of them is
Yeah.
40 years in the fucking being faculty
Field.
members and
Wow.
researchers,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm the rookie. I'm the new kid on the block who don't know shit from Shinola. And
It
oh,
keeps you
what there's
humble
a
though, don't it?
there's an event that shuts down class every day. Well, it's my fucking first fucking semester. I had no idea that fucking shit even exists. And I
Yeah.
was telling people how I was at a housewarming party for a colleague, and one of the other faculty members I was talking to studies like the, you know, the development and sort of the evolution of cities because they're like a archaeologist, you know. So in the
Yeah.
anthropology department, you got biological anthropologists and you got cultural anthropologists, linguists, and archaeologists. So I'm talking to archaeologists, and I had to ask her the question, "What is a city?
Mm.
What is a city?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's a good. That's actually a great question because there's this
Wow.
theory that it's about how many people are in a certain geographical region. There's this theory that it's actually all about how there's different specializations. People become legal specialists, religious specialists, football specialists.
Mm.
There's other people who say it's about the interconnectedness of various institutions and structures that are not found elsewhere. In other words, the city is where you have the central temple and the markets and things like that. So it's about the structure. So literally, like I always tell my students, experts, the answer is always we don't know.
Mm.
We don't know. And so you think that, oh, I have a PhD and I'm an anthropology professor and I must now know all this type of shit. And then when I sit down with a real scholar whose
Yeah.
subject is cities, I have to ask them the whole ass question like a newborn child. What is a city? A thing I thought I lived in, so I had some knowledge of because I thought I've lived in
Yeah.
cities and shit. But now it turns
Yeah.
out I have to admit I don't even know what a city is. And then what does she say as someone with all these years of expertise who does this research and teaches this stuff? Yeah, nobody knows,
We
and we
don't
can't
know.
agree on it. We don't know. We can't agree on what it actually means to have a city,
But
right? So
isn't
you see the
that
levels to the
beautiful?
game, right?
Oh, totally. But isn't it beautiful to eh, with someone with the level of title like a PhD, and you would think, you should fall on your knees and kneel before Zod and, polish their shoes with your toothbrush. And then they'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And like
like
there's
I don't have a
something
clue.
beautiful, but there's
Yeah,
something beautiful in that, being a humble. And
right,
that
right,
is just like, I don't know. But I'm willing to work to go find that answer. And I think that's beautiful. It's something I tell the ladies that come to my self-defense seminars. I can sit here and give you my resume, but there's stuff I don't know.
right,
But I will go find that answer for you. And I think being in my position, being in your position with a PhD, with a seventh degree, is just like I'm in a position to where I can go probably a better position to go find those answers to
right,
your
right,
questions.
right,
And
right,
that's all this experience gives you and me. Because
right,
your PhD is like my seventh degree. It's just like you know who to ask.
right, right,
You
right.
admit I don't know, but I'm now willing to
I
go
know a
down that
guy.
road.
Yeah,
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 yeah, and I think that's all that experience gives us over the average person. I don't
right,
know, but I've got a better path to go find out
right.
with
No,
versus
I
someone who
totally
doesn't have this
agree.
experience. Yeah.
Totally agree. So let's transition a bit into the martial arts since we got into that. Tell us about
Okay.
your background with the martial arts and your disciplines, a little bit of a description of each discipline, and then where you're at with your training in those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a 7th degree black belt in Kaji Kimbo. And especially for my seminars, I always like to poke at people a little bit and be like, well, who here has heard of Kaji Kimbo? No one raises their hand. And like, great, because if you would have raised your hand, I would have called you a liar.
Right.
Kaji Kimbo is an American-born martial arts system, and the funny word, it's actually an acronym. KA, my brain just completely farted. You would think I've been doing this for almost 30 years. KA Karate, JU, Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, KEN, Chinese Kempo, BO, Chinese Boxing, otherwise known as Kung Fu. It's an amalgamation, it's a combination of 5 different martial arts. Quite literally in the 40s, 5 masters lived underground. What is the most effective style of fighting? So everything from their respective styles that they found useful, they kept. Everything they found ceremonial, just garbage, they got rid of. Put that in the blender, you got Kaji Kimbo. Kaji Kimbo is not what you see on ESPN2 or ESPN3. It's not the shiny bow staff. It's not the 5 backflips. It's street fighting. It's literally the art of street fighting. It's eye gouging, small joint manipulation. It's how can I end a fight as painfully and as quickly as humanly possible. The reason why we have this mindset, it was already a brutal martial art, but Adriano Imperato, the guy who's kind of credited as being the Kaji Kimbo guy, Kaji Kimbo is so young. For those of you out there that are interested, I've had dinner with Adriano Imperato, just so you know. This isn't Shaolin Kung Fu. This isn't 1,500 years old. It's as old as my parents. One of his first black belts was his brother, Tony, who apparently was very, very good at what he did. And Tony got into an altercation and put the guy down and gave him the, you need to stay down. Tony got up, he walked away, the guy got up and literally stabbed him in the back. Stabbed him so many times they couldn't stop the bleeding. That's when Adriano.
Wait, you said his brother stabbed him in the back?
No. Sorry. Tony is Adriano's little brother. Tony got into an altercation, not with Adriano. Not with Adriano.
Got it. Sorry, I misunderstood.
He got into a totally separate altercation. He put the guy down and said, you need to stay on the ground. As he walked away, the guy got up, stabbed him.
Right.
Look this up because it's kind of interesting. This is why we are nicknamed the art of street fighting. At that point, that's when Adriano kind of turned the gas up, turned the fire up on the intensity of Kaji Kimbo and its training. And we are now known as the art of overkill. If steps 1 through 5 in the confrontation, we're going to do 6 through 8. We're going to make sure you stay down, and we're going to make sure that you do not have the ability to stand back up. All that came from Tony Imperato losing his life. So this is why it is groin striking. This is why I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this is the preferred. First, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. I always tell the ladies that. As long as you're training, you're doing the right thing. But this is why I believe this is one of the better martial arts styles for women, because this does not rely on strength. I don't care how much he can bench press. If he can't see, he's going to have a hard time fighting you. I don't care if he can lunge from here to California and back twice with the Volkswagen on his back. If you take one of his testicles off, he's going to feel a little bit of discomfort. And so it's literally the art of street fighting. It's the art of overkill. It's how badly can I hurt somebody in a little bit of time. I'm a 6th degree black belt in Shinjumatsu. It's an Asian martial arts form, and it's kind of the Kaji Kimbo first cousin. It's another street fighting style. You're not taking this into the ring. You're not fighting for points. This is hurt the person, put them down in the conflict. I'm a second degree black belt in American Kempo, first degree black belt in the soft style of Kung Fu. And I did Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for about 10 years.
Mm,
So
mm.
I've got some experience, and all
Was
this
what was all of
squeezed
that for
into a 30
you?
year.
Was that just trying to become a lethal weapon? Like, was it the
No,
sport? Was it the?
honestly, I think I speak for most of the guys my age in our 50s who didn't watch Kung Fu Theater on Saturdays, right? With the horrible dub track.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that
That
track.
sounds pretty good, right? And then Chuck Norris movies. What problem could it be solved with a furry chested martial artist who chugs beer and does roundhouse kicks and crescent kicks? And so I think my love for the martial arts just comes from my childhood.
Mm,
I mean, I've got some trauma, but I wasn't beaten up really all that, no more than no less than anyone else my age. But I think it all just came from, the media exposure I had from a kid, and I'm an athletic person and very physical growing up. So martial arts was something else my mom didn't want me to do growing up. Because I remember asking for lessons when I was a child, but
mm.
yeah, so I was a mama's boy, so there was no way I was getting scratched up under Carrie's watch.
When
But
did you
I
start?
just wanted to. I started 29 years ago. I've always talked about it, even when I played ball.
But you were an adult. You were grown.
I was. And the place, my first job in the fitness profession, I'm just going on and on and on and on and on and on about my love of martial arts. And the guy working the front desk at the time said, "Oh, I'll introduce you to my friend, Tony." It's like, okay. Tony just got his first degree black belt in Kaji Kimbo. And the rest, as they say, is history. Tony was responsible for giving me my first degree black belt. So yeah, that's where all that came from.
All right, so that is all really great background, and I appreciate it. Just so people know, this change I made to the programming was we were originally going to play Patty's clip about what's going on in the community, and then I was going to get into some of the receipts about the community response, and I'd like to show those things for a few reasons. Number one, Uncle Bobby is still getting caught up on all of this. There's a lot of information, and I think he's still trying to piece things together himself. Number two, there's a lot of people in his audience that won't be familiar with the situation or everything that's going on. And so it's a good opportunity to give them sort of an overview. Won't be able to show everything, obviously, but it'll be able to give them a good overview about everything. And then also, there are people in my audience, even on my channel, who don't watch my programming on a regular basis, but they'll tune in for this because, they like Uncle Bobby or we have a special guest. And so this will be an opportunity for them to get caught up. So I hope Uncle Bobby and some of you guys can, hang with us for a little while and hang in there for some of that, because I do think that stuff's important. But we were going to talk after that about sort of some of the significance of the self-defense stuff. But I think given that we're kind of there, we should at least talk a little bit about that before we get into the clips.
Solid.
So
Yes.
just since you just kind of hit us with the martial arts conversation, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today is, because I am an outsider, right? And my background with these things, for those that don't know, is just that I grew up in a martial arts household. Like some way you might be an army brat. I was like a karate brat. In that my stepfather was a world-class martial artist, a 5th degree black belt, and some sort of also strong style, sort of Japanese version of karate, but I forget the Pacific discipline, so I don't want to misname it. But he was great. Like, he won everything, lots of
Wow.
trophies, lots of championship belts, and it was always like, okay, Dad's got a karate tournament. I used to call him Pops, like Pops, because Dad was like my father, Al Bundy. But I call my stepdad like Pops. It's like, all right, Pops got a karate tournament. He's probably gonna win. He's gonna win all the fifth. He was always in the 5th degree and up division. He's probably
Yeah.
gonna win the sparring. He's gonna win the kata competition. He's probably gonna win the weapons kata. And there was sometimes I seen him accidentally put somebody in a hospital from a
Oh,
spinning roundhouse kick. And
yeah.
going to visit the person and getting close to that family. And so but I was never into it because I'm a nerd and I ain't really want to fight. But I was hanging around the dojo,
Yeah.
and that's where my love of mixed martial arts and boxing and combat sports, and also I was really into pro wrestling. If my stepfather would have just said to me, if he'd have just came to me and said, I can make you a WWF wrestler. All you got to do is learn this martial arts stuff, and then they'll want you because you could really fight. Boy, I'd have been in that. I'd have been on that karate like there's
Now
no
you're talking.
tomorrow.
Yep.
But he was
Yep.
always like, "Nah, that pro wrestling, that's the foolishness, and over here we're doing the
Yeah.
real." And so he
The real thing.
never made the connection for me. So, but I
Okay.
loved it. I love martial arts. I have my little white belt. I learned how to throw a little punch and a kick or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't fight, and I tell people that all the way up front. But the reason I say all that is to say, from the outside, when you say to me, I teach women self-defense, and I always say you self-describe as I teach women how to fight so they don't get raped. So we just keep it all the way there. I'm wondering in my head, well, am I going to be learning boxing, karate, jujitsu, some sort of MMA because people are familiar with UFC, or you know what I'm saying? So from your interdisciplinary martial arts background, how would you speak to somebody about sort of what systems are underlying your approach to women's self-defense?
I think I understand that question. My thing is, whatever works in that moment is the best form of self-defense. Like, even if you can get that much space between you and your attacker, and you turn and haul ass and outrun that person to safety, then track and field just became your best form of self-defense. I'm old enough to remember when, the UFC became the thing, and kind of what used to be kind of the saying de jour is, well, that'll never work in a real fight.
Right.
And my thing was like, well, how do you know? You don't know. And people forget that the UFC, though very high impact and can be extraordinarily violent, it's still a sport. You still can't hit someone between the legs. You still can't hit someone, in the back of their head. It's a sport with rules, regulations. Both guys are going in there knowing that we are going to scrap. So at the end of the day, this is still a sport. So let's not forget that.
Right.
My thing is, whatever works, whatever it's spitting in his face, makes him do that, and then spitting became the best form of self-defense. Again, Kaji Kimbo is known for its cheat shots.
Right.
Okay, well, we're not fighting for style points. We're fighting for survival. And so if a ridge hand between his legs pushes his testicles against his pubic bone and he dropped, that just became the best form of self-defense. So my thing is, whatever works. Kaji Kimbo, karate, aikido, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, acting crazy. And someone's just like, oh, I don't want to mess with her. She's crazy. Acting just became. Actually, I bullshit you not. I bullshit you not. It was when I first started doing my self-defense series. It's 6 weeks. It's a small group, and it's very intense. And at the end of the series, everyone has to go through the graduation ceremony. And the graduation ceremony is 2 minutes on the mat with me. Now, forget everything you've learned. I turn out the lights and I play very loud, mentally disturbing music. If you guys are fans of Wesley Snipes' Blade, that club music that plays in the beginning, Confusion, I play that and I play it loud. It's very disturbing. You cannot think. You've got 2 minutes to get off the mat. That's it. Every person who's done that has cried. I cried with every single last one of my students. They know they're safe, but it's a very emotional experience. One of the ladies, long story short, when I say acting can be your best form of self-defense, she demonstrated, And yeah, she can imitate a hurt dog. If you closed your eyes, you would not be able to tell if Lassie got hurt or if it was this lady's voice. She took that series because she was moving out of state for a job. Really long story short, at the end, she was getting off the subway and two guys jumped her. She remembered two things from 6 weeks of training. She remembered, keep your chin down because that protects your airway. If you do that with your chin, it gets harder to choke you. The other thing she remembered was if you get on the ground, if you're pushed to the ground and you're on your back, make a figure four with your legs. That's all she remembered. That saved her. But what really, really helped her, she started imitating a hurt dog. People turned around because it's like, you're not hurting the dog on my watch. Long story short, acting became her best form of self-defense. I must have shown her at least 36 techniques in those 6 weeks. And the only thing she remembered, keep my chin down so I could breathe, make a figure four with my legs. And on her own, she remembered she could imitate a hurt dog. It worked for her.
And that's what got her out of the situation.
That's what I tell people, and please, I hope people are listening when I say this. If you ever find yourself in a bad situation, do not yell help. No one gives a shit about help. For those of you in your 50s like me, you remember those first generation car alarms. And for us, they just became a fashion statement, right? Because the car alarm was about this big, and you would put it in your pocket, and you'd keep the thing out.
Yeah.
It just became a fashion statement. But those things were so sensitive that if you farted near a car that had those first generation, it would go off. And so your high school parking lot was filled with cars with alarms going off. And you know how many times people turn their head and be like, I wonder if someone's stealing a car stereo. Not a single stinking time.
Right.
If you yell help, nobody cares.
Right.
If you yell fire, now, my next door neighbor, I don't know their name. I don't care. I'm a loner. I don't care. But if they came out and they started yelling fire, they've got my attention because if their house catches fire, my house catches fire.
Right.
And so doing something that people care about, like most people care about animals. You imitate a hurt dog, people are going to come and watch to see what's going on. Yell fire. Everyone cares about fire. No one gives two shits about help. And so it's stuff like that I tell the ladies that come to my self-defense class.
Wow. So what's crazy is that was a self-defense lesson just right there, right? Just in talking us through that decision tree and a real world example of somebody actually using it. So also what I'm hearing, just to return to my silliness, and I admit being naive about this. What I would say, what sounds like you're saying is it's not about a particular discipline being used. I happen to have a lot of disciplinary knowledge as an interdisciplinary martial artist, but what I'm focusing on is pragmatic or situational, and it's about what gets you out of that situation most effectively. Yeah.
Like I'm looking at the comments, Robin, hi, and I got that acting crazy shit down pat. Here's the thing about that comment. As horrible, in this case, sex criminals are, they're smart enough to know they're on the clock. All criminals know that they're on the clock.
Right.
And so, and I almost hate to say this out loud, but this is what I tell the people that come to me. They are looking for the slowest gazelle in the herd.
Right.
They know they need to, pardon the pun, they need to get in, they need to get out as fast as possible. And so they're looking for what they perceive to be the easiest pick of the litter. And so, Robin, when you say acting crazy, they know crazy takes more time. Right. That's why it's like, and there's a coworker that I've known for years. She comes up to my chest. She's petite, but she walks like she's 6'8" and 300 pounds. She gives off the air of "do not fuck with me." And so
Right,
when you
right,
act crazy, when you act confident, when you walk with your chest out, when you walk with a purpose, you've taken, back of the herd mentality to alpha dog look. And it's not 100% guarantee, of course, but it kind
right,
of makes you less likely. So,
right.
Robin, when you say you got acting crazy, and someone's like, "Bitch, I'm gonna, bitch, I got your fucking bitch. Let me tell you about a bitch. Let me show you a bitch." You're an attacker because again, when we talk, again, let's get real here. I'm in self-defense teacher mode. Rape is not about sex. This isn't a physical attraction. This isn't, I like, broad shoulders on a man or a big butt on a woman or whatever you're into. This is about power.
Mm.
Sex crimes are about power, not attraction. It's called a sex crime because of the area of the body that's involved. And so when you get the "bitch, I'm gonna," and you shrink, that's their foreplay. And again, forgive me for being so graphic, but when they shoot for the power and you don't give them the power, you see what I'm saying? So,
Right,
Robin, I
right.
love that comment when you said, "I got crazy down pat." God damn it, keep doing that because again, this isn't about sex. This isn't about attraction. I don't want to make you orgasm and like vice versa. This is
Right,
about
right.
power. And so, yeah, and you're like, "Bitch, I'm gonna," and like, "I got your fucking bitch." You've taken the power away from them. So that stuff like that
Right.
is fantastic. Thank you for saying that, Robin.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So the other thing I wanted to mention to you is we've talked a little bit about um maybe trying to find a way to do some content, some self-defense that you could lead from at home that people could follow from at home. I wanted to know if you could share what you think might be the value of that. And then also I had some ideas and I wanted to get your feedback on those thoughts.
I think it is beyond valuable. And like I said, there's unless a self-defense teacher just tells you to lay down and take it, there's really no such thing as a bad form of self-defense. Whatever makes you feel like you can do it, I highly recommend you do that. Taekwondo, Aikido, Kempo, Karate, just pick whatever it is you think is going to work. Do that because you're right. And in terms of like setting a video series up, I'm all for that. On the scale of good, better, and best, what is best is, oh, I want to definitely talk about that right there. But you'll never beat flesh on flesh. There's no substitute because one thing I've learned, especially for my self-defense classes,
Sure,
is
sure.
getting people used to touching skin. I mean, that has been the biggest thing that I've seen in 20 plus years is getting
Yeah,
people used to
yeah.
just touching another person and being
Right,
touched. So
right,
you'll
right.
never beat that. But if watching, I bullshit you not. I've been on this Chuck Norris streak here, and he's got this series out, and it is corny, gang. It is Chuck Norris in a goddamn singlet with the puffy socks, and the women behind him are looking like Kiana Tom from Kiana's Flex Appeal. For those of you old enough to remember that, and he's teaching self-defense in a studio, like 6 women behind him, and they've got chairs. So you're like, are we going to do step aerobics or are we going to do self-defense? And it's little things like, again, how to make a fist. It still almost shocks and amazes me that if I don't tell people, okay, wave at me. Now, ball. Take your thumb, That's a fist. The number of times I've seen people do that, I'm like, oh, we have to stop. Gang, even if you have a great punch and your thumb is wrapped in there, that energy's got to go somewhere. Congratulations, you probably just broke your own thumb. If you make a great punch, but you're off by a little bit and you're giving it the thumbs up, and that thumb gets caught in clothing or something like that, you just dislocated your thumb. If you make a punch, you always think straight lines. You always think straight lines. Here's a straight line between my joints, all of them. If I'm throwing a hook, that's crooked, but it's attached to a straight line, right? If you start giving me that action, even if you land a great punch and you don't have straight lines, that energy's got to go somewhere. So you just broke your wrist, right? And that's all Chuck did. At least the two shows of that I watched when I wasn't laughing my balls off looking at Chuck in the singlet. But it was little things like how to make a fist, make contact with your top two knuckles. So, I mean, if putting a video series out like that,
yeah,
except it's me, I'm all for that. Again, every little thing helps. Every little thing helps.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is I can go back and, like I said, growing up as a dojo kid with a 5th degree black belt for a stepfather, literally probably just disappointed. Like, this kid don't care nothing about none of this, you know, but also probably happy that I don't feel I have to fight on a regular basis. And then also it was mixed emotions about that, right? Because I was the only black kid in all white schools, meaning I was dealing with racism constantly. And so I think my mother's concern was if I learned how to fight, I would be given plenty of reason to whoop somebody's ass on a daily basis. For real. Like I've been caught in bathrooms. I was constantly under threat. And so I think she didn't want me to know how to fight because she wanted exit strategies the way I am now. Get out of it with your words. Talk yourself out of dangerous situations. Don't get yourself in more trouble having to prove something. But nevertheless, that's not really her there. What I wanted to say was a lot of the basic things you just went over were things he did teach me, even as a rookie white belt, whatever. I learned about the you know, how to throw a punch and not hurt yourself in the process, and even the thing about, you know, landing with your two front knuckles and I never forgot those. Here I am 40 years later and you know, 30 years plus years later, and I never forgot those basic things. All right, so here were some of the ideas I had. So one, like you just demonstrated, a lot of the things you just gave us and just talking about it was really helpful. Right, so there's a lot of lessons you could do like with your current sort of production setup and just go live and let's talk about self-defense in ways that require, you know, no extra work or involvement. The other thing I was thinking of is we could probably get you an inexpensive sort of camera setup with a tripod, you know, like a camcorder type thing, nothing expensive, but just a regular camera and a tripod. And then maybe you could go in like your living room or somewhere around the house where you might have some more space to actually, you know, set things up where we could have you demonstrate things and maybe get you a little mic to clip on your shirt or whatever, and you could do some demonstrations. The other thing I thought about was maybe getting a dummy or something if you wanted to, you know, have something to do demonstrations on. I know some people who do that type of content do dummy work just to, you know, show body positions and different things like that. And then I didn't know if you have any like students or friends that might volunteer to come over to help you do demonstrations.
Ready to say the first woman I ever promoted to purple belt used to be my assistant. And we still keep in contact. We still have a good relationship, but that went over probably everyone's head. And Kajimbo purple belt is the first belt you have to fight for. Yeah, purple belt, I don't care about your form. So I don't care if you know the history. We're just going to do some fighting. And the first person that I ever promoted, first woman I ever promoted to purple belt, let's call her Joanne, was Joanne. Joanne comes up to my chest. It's not like she's, you know, Miss Olympia or something like that. She's just determined. I bet you I can pull Joanne out of retirement.
Yeah.
to be a because she used to do my help me with my self defense series where I work because she's also an attorney and she's that kind of attorney. If your file is on this woman's desk, there's a good chance you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. And so she
Wow.
had
Wow.
the female point of view on this, which I don't have, and the legal point of view. So she was great to have. And so I bet you I can pull her out of retirement. But Kyle, I just saw what you said about real fast about massage school. One of the first things that I taught by one of my former teachers, because the I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. It's the question's going to come up, right? You want to do your job, but humans are humans. And I still remember someone in the class asked, what if one of your students, and what he was trying to ask is, what if one of your students is very, very attractive? That's what he was trying to ask. And my instructor is like, what if one of my students is, he shut that thing down before he could get the question finished. He was like, you get that out of your mind right now. If you're thinking it, they can feel it. These are people coming to you in their most vulnerable state. They don't know you from a can of paint. Some of these women have gone through that. And so if Tyra Banks, 1999 Tyra Banks come into your class, she's not 1999 Tyra Banks. She's a woman looking for self-defense lesson. I will never forget that lesson for as long as I live. And Kyle, when you sit there and you say you felt the icky energy, exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
You don't have to get physical with someone. Like, as in, you can give off that nasty energy with a stranger in an elevator, which is something else I tell the women in my self-defense classes. Do not ignore that sixth sense. That spidey sense is what's going to keep you safe. And real talk, I remember, I'm sorry, man, you're kicking me in self-defense mode.
No, it's good. We like it.
Yeah. I remember telling this story. I forgot something in my car at work. And the way, if this is where I work, right over there in the corner of my room is where I have to park. So I walk the sidewalk to go to my car to go get probably my stopwatch or something. And a woman is walking north. I'm walking south. This woman does not know me from Adam. All she sees is a strange man walking towards her. And gang, I BS you not. As she's walking, her purse is on this side. I'm on this side. She puts her purse on the opposite side, and she moves over a little bit to create space between she and I. I'm not joking, gang. The first thing that hit my mind was, this motherfucker. And then I remember, like, good for you. Good for you. She doesn't know me. And something about me made her uncomfortable, so she moved over. And something I tell the ladies in my self-defense class, not that I said it to her, but one thing I say to the women in my self-defense class is this right here. If the worst thing that happens to you at the end of the day, if someone calls you a bitch, you had a great day. Because if I wasn't that guy, that was like, good for you for following your instincts. If I was the guy like, bitch, I wasn't going to do anything to you.
Yeah.
She's had a great day.
Right.
Because what if I was that guy and she didn't follow her instincts?
Yes.
So again, if you get an icky feeling, like Kyle, you got that feeling for it, you follow those instincts.
Yeah.
Right. So do not ignore those hairs on your back.
And I would say men should also work harder to realize there's this culture of unsafeness for women. And so there's little things we can do to help. So one of the things that I do, for instance, if I find myself walking down a hallway at the same time as a woman I don't know, Or let's say I'm at work and I'm coming out of the restroom, and as I'm coming out of the restroom, it just so happens that I hit a woman walking down that hallway in stride, and now we're walking down this hallway either together or me just a step or so behind her, right? I will stop.
Yeah.
And what I will simply do is I will stop for literally maybe 5 or 10 seconds. It's just stopping long enough to let that woman realize I'm not going to be following you down this hallway, or I'm not going to be escorting you down this hallway. You are not going to have to think about that question about me as you may have had to for the next 30 seconds. If I just simply minded my business and kept walking as I was walking, but I recognize the situation I put this person in, like you said, they don't know me from Adam, they don't know me from a can of paint. Me just stopping for 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where I've literally been able to watch that woman relax their shoulders or take a
Yeah.
deep breath. Right.
Absolutely.
Not always, but sometimes I've been like, oh wow, like it's just that little bit of, oh, I don't have to question about that interaction, right?
Yeah.
And it's the subtlest thing, right? But yeah, for what it's worth.
It's something I've been saying since my Lenovo days, and that is no movement gains traction until its antithesis joins in.
Right.
For the dudes that are going to hear this, it is way more on us than it is our sisters to set the tone. Little thing like that, to stop, create some distance so she knows, right? She said, swallowing your ego
Right.
and be like, you're like, I wasn't going to do anything. Instead, good job. Good job. Again, guys, we've kind of screwed this thing up. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Right.
And especially in today's political climate, and I don't want to get overly political on this, but I've always said attitude reflects leadership. And when you got a commander in chief who was awarded the presidency after saying, I grab women by their genitals and doing all the things, that shit just cascades down.
Yeah.
And so, guys, it's on us to hit the reset button. And if there's one thing, if I can get to any guy who's listening to this, the best thing that we can do as guys is when a woman complains, believe them.
Yeah.
When they say it's hard being a woman out here, and they're like, nah, bitch. Just like, please tell me. And I'm sorry. And then after they tell you, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
Right? Again, no movement gains traction until its antithesis joins in. Guys, it is on us to hit the reset button. They didn't set the environment that they're in. People with penises did. And so we can't tell them that they're responsible for resetting a system that they didn't build.
Right.
And so when they tell you, man, it's kind of fucked up out here, take your pride, put it on the shelf, sit down, shut the hell up, and listen, because they've got a view on the world that we will never possess, ever possess. And so when they tell you what they have to do just to go to the grocery store, that they have to carry mace, I want to go out, I want to have a drink at a bar.
Yeah.
But I have to sit here and be like, is he going to rape me? Is he going to rape me? Is he going to bug me? Is he going to bug me?
Right.
Can I flirt with this guy and him just take it as a flirtation and not an invitation to enter one of my holes? We need to listen to that because they have a view on the world that we just don't have.
And again, that's another situation. Like I've noticed that too. I want to go grab some pasta sauce. Young ladies examining her current pasta sauce options. Give her some space. Just treat it like it's a cue. You don't have to be breathing over her shoulder while she's trying to decide what marinara sauce she wants. Just give her some space. Treat it like you're waiting your turn. Wait till she's picked her sauce and moved on to the next thing. Then pull up and grab your sauce. Again, it'll cost you 30 seconds. It'll cost you 30 seconds, but you're helping some other person in your community shop in peace and not have to think about an altercation or being hit on or trying to make small talk or the excuse me's or the bumpings and the blases and the glavinoids,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So kind of coming back to the self-defense, I had a couple more ideas I want to run by you. So another one was using the domestic environment, so like using your home to actually demonstrate different scenarios. Oh, this is when you're on the couch, this is when you're laying in bed, this is when you're
Oh, yeah.
seated at the kitchen table, which could also be stand-in for when you're out at a restaurant, right? And so you can create almost like this kind of situational conversation and then think about options in what might be more like real world scenarios. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Using the house environment.
Yeah,
And
I
then
get that
go
a
ahead.
lot. It's what do I do when I'm in the car? What do I do when I'm
Right,
in my
right.
office building? What if I'm in the park? I get those all the time.
Have you seen the car jujitsu? It's a
No,
thing.
no, I have
Yeah,
not.
there's a thing. It's like an actual ESPN the Ocho type martial arts thing almost.
Mm,
But it's like actual jujitsu competitions, like using a car. Like the two people are sitting in the car and then they have to like car fight.
mm.
Yeah, it's interesting. You might want to check it out. But just as a curiosity. But no, yeah, I think that's kind of exactly the type of thing I'm thinking about. Is that's a very
Okay.
scenario based situation. And then the other thing I was thinking about is you also have a talent for reacting to bullshit on the internet and counter apologetics. And I think you could use that to deconstruct why some martial arts techniques or self-defense tech content isn't good, like almost like deconstruction of like
Yeah,
why some techniques are bad. Or and you could do the flip too, you could point out when you find content that is really good techniques or really good
yeah.
martial arts content and like kind of analyze how it would play out in a self-defense context.
The only time I do that against another self defense instructor, after a while you can kind of tell. How do I say this? They're good and bad people in every job game.
Right,
They're
right.
good teachers, they're bad teachers. They're good cops, they're bad cops. I work hard to not break down another teacher's teaching styles or techniques, but what I have zero patience for and what I do call out, because again, I'm a 7th degree black belt in Kaji Kimbo. It doesn't mean I'm a 7th degree black belt in Aikido.
Right,
And so
right.
if I see something in Aikido that I don't understand, I will give them the latitude to be Aikido instructors because I want them to give me the latitude to be a Kaji Kimbo teacher. I don't know everything they know. The only
Right,
thing that I will 100% point out is the bullshit.
right,
And
right.
you don't have to be 7th degree, although it helps, to point out the bullshit. Like for the guys that want to teach you how to throw your chi like you're a Jedi Knight, oh,
Right.
I will 100% call that out. And there's for the in our world it's called Mac Dojos. If you can get a black belt in a year and a half, you do not have a black belt. And those
Right,
teachers
right.
are simply just trying to get checks, trying to get cash, and it's garbage. It is absolute trash. And so I try not to break down. I will tell people how I would improve a technique, but I will not bash another teacher unless it's like a George Gilman,
Right, right.
a
Like a
guy who literally
stand.
wants to sit here and tell you that
Yeah.
you can use the force
Right.
and literally bring a physically superior opponent down to their knees without touching them. So
Yeah.
I won't critique another teacher, but what I will do is call out the BS. I will call out the BS.
Yeah, because it's the type of misinformation that can be dangerous in this context,
Absolutely,
right?
and that's
Yeah.
exactly why I do it. You can literally
Yeah.
be costing someone their well-being. You can even be costing someone their life.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting there trying to do the Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then
Right.
someone just sitting there just pummeling, and they're like, "Why isn't my force choking working?" Because
Right.
it's not real. And so, yeah, I will not criticize another teacher, but I will call out the crap.
But
I
I've
will
also,
100% call
and
out the
so
crap.
I get this from a lot of instructional content that I watch. You know, I'm an educator, so I try to you know, talk to other teachers and
Hold up
watch.
real fast. But Tom, you saw that too. George Dillman. Sorry, Jag.
Oh yeah, tongue
So
at the roof of
yeah,
my mouth. Yeah.
and so for those of you that don't know, George Dillman got busted by I think it was it the National Geographic did a documentary on it, and so look it up on YouTube. It's absolutely fantastic. George Dillman is a master of a no touch knockout. So in other words, I could be back here, and if you come at me, and if I just throw my chi at you, you will literally drop like I punched you in your face. And he was telling
uh,
stories about how it is that he'll be in line at Starbucks and he'll use the force and everyone will move forward. And then he'll turn around like, hey, who just did that? Well, then what ended up happening was scientists actually put this to the test. They did two things. One, the scientists volunteered for the experiment. And I can't remember one guy's name was Luigi, and I can't remember the other guy's name. And they're sitting there, and the dude's trying to, knock him out, and he just, yeah, nothing happened. And the other thing they did was they took it to an actual MMA school. And at the time,
oh wow.
Bonner, I can't remember what was his name, something Bonner, but he was one of the
Stephen
students.
Bonner or Stephen
There you
Bonner.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in there. And so it's like, okay, let us use our no touch knockout. And they're like,
Yeah, no.
yeah, this isn't happening. And so they interviewed George Dillman afterwards. And they're like, so, well, your no touch knockout didn't work. What's going on? And he came up with every excuse. One of them was the toes, that if you just kind of flip your toes, like your toe, you can negate the power of the no touch knockout. And Wayne, what that is a reference to, that if your tongue was in the wrong part of your mouth, you could negate it. For those of you that don't know, this right here, this is an attack point. It is. It's something I teach in my martial arts class. You can see me swallow. Right beneath that is a very soft spot. It's a straight tracheotomy. If you push, you can hurt someone. To defend against it, it does start with where it is you're placing your tongue in your mouth. It's more than just that. But I think where George was coming from was if you put your tongue in a certain part of the mouth, you can negate his no touch knockout. Translation, you have to be willing to be knocked out. It is the power of suggestion. If you believe this crap, then you will ride on it. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's what I'm talking. I will not break down another teacher's style. I will call out the crap, and that is crap.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that I get a lot of the idea from people who do medical content, especially related to like health and fitness. And so they will break down videos where it's like, no, don't actually do this thing you keep hearing at the gym because that's like actually bad for your body. And like, let me explain why that's bad for your body. Or they'll be like, people are shitting all over this guy's video saying that what this person's doing is bad technique. And they'll be like, no, actually, I work with clients who like are trying to rehab injuries. And like, these are the type of adjustments a person needs to make to be comfortable. And actually, like, it's going to support development. So it's like he's using his understanding to be able to react to content that is popular or going viral and being like, hey, this is why this is actually good or this is why this is actually bad. And I think that like people would appreciate that, getting some your insight on content
I would love
in that
to.
regard. Yeah.
So
those were most of the things that I had kind of thought of that would be maybe cool. And then I was thinking maybe we could just create like another channel for it and we could promote it. Oh, and then the other thing is based on what you were saying before, it sounds like we should be encouraging people to get connected to like a local gym or some sort of local training situation where we're saying like, hey, we're trying to give you information, but this is also to encourage you to actually get connected and you know, do some IRL training as best you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All
And
right. So
if you are,
okay.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say after whatever you want to say, can you just transition to sort of what your plea would be to women in this space about the importance of self-defense and why they should learn how to fight?
Absolutely. All I was going to say is if we start this series kind of online, and again, all I can do if someone is in, let's say, Mississippi, Massachusetts, and there's like, well, here's a teacher who teaches boo to boo to boo to boo to boo. You can ask me, and I can explain to you the best to my ability what that style is and how it is I would think it would benefit you. I'm not telling you there's a martial arts teachers database where I can tell you this guy's legit or this woman's legit, but if you tell me the style, I can help you. And
Right.
I think what was the other question on why it's important?
Yeah, why, like if you were just to explain to a woman like what are the benefits of self-defense and why they should learn how to fight?
Just simply based on the stories that I have heard.
Mm.
And again, this is just what it is I've heard. I have never been sexually assaulted. I've never been raped. Nothing has ever happened to me sexually that I did not enthusiastically consent to. I'm quite sure that at least one person watching us right now or later on will have a different story than what it is I just told. If you learn to fight for no other reason, there is a certain sorority that you do not want to be in. And I am basing that on 2+ decades of hearing stories that Stephen King could not imitate.
Mm.
I have heard the most gut wrenching stories. Things that, again, I say it all the time, and that's once I've thought I've heard the worst story imaginable, this lady's story tells this lady's story. Hold my beer.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
So if you learn for no other reason, learn so you can stay out of that club. It is a horrible, horrible club to be in. And before I get off of this one, what I don't think I was a teacher for 5 years at the time. At the time this lady told me this story, she had been out of college for at least a quarter of a century. And she told me about something that happened to her in college. This woman was married with kids. College for her was 20 years previous. And as she's telling me what happened to her, it's probably the first times I saw the switch. And I wasn't talking to the lady that was sitting in front of me. I was listening to the little girl from 25 years ago. And I will never forget the day where her tone of voice changed and she started crying and she starts punching me in my chest like I'm the guy who did it. Now, I'm a big guy and I can take it, so I just let her continue to do it. And she kept asking, why? Robert, I wasn't dressed like a slut. I didn't ask for it. Why me? You know what I said? I don't know.
Mm.
I'm a nice person. I didn't do anything wrong. Why did he choose me?
Mm.
I don't know. I just went to the library to study for a test. I just wanted to go back to my room. Why did he pick me? I don't know. We sat and she cried for about 20, 30 minutes. And when I could feel she was kind of ready, I was like, want me to walk you to your car? She said, yeah. That was from 20+ years ago. And so again, if you take self-defense for any other reason, it's to stay out of that sorority. And here's the thing, even if you are in that sorority, one thing I tell the ladies that come into my class, there are 2 types of women that come to a self-defense lesson. One, you're acting proactively. It hasn't happened to you. You haven't been raped, you haven't been groped, you haven't been molested, you haven't been me too. you're there to maintain your power. If that's the case, you came to the right spot, or you're acting reactively. It has happened, and you're here to get your power back. And if that's the case, you come to the right spot. So if you are in that sorority, it's of no fault of your own.
But it can still happen again.
It can absolutely. I've actually trained people to where they are multiple time survivors.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. For as
Nancy's
bad
a
as
multiple time survivor, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a self-defense class so that you can maintain your power. Take a self-defense class so if you are in that sorority, you can get your power back. Wow. Hey, you guys give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna use a little boys' room.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. You guys.
I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna play Patty's video since we've both seen it.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
This is about what happened to my sister Nancy and the response from the atheist community. Nancy's notarized letter is linked below. One of my main concerns about this is how easily the leadership at the ACA, that's the atheist community of Austin, and Recovering from Religion were willing to accept the story that Nancy wanted what happened, that it was unintentional assault, or that it was kink gone wrong. Now, Nancy was always pushing against the purity culture of our youth by being loud about sexual things. At our first conference, she wore a shirt that said, "Sorry I'm late, I was masturbating." It was funny at the time, but now I see how her freedom of expression was weaponized against her. As far as I can see, community leadership and professional content creators haven't actually deconstructed the patriarchal values of the church. In fact, it serves them well. Pay attention. Within a week of the incident, I reached out to both the ACA and RFR. They are the biggest organizations in the atheism industry. The ACA had recently invited us to host a show on their channel, and Daryl Ray of RFR made sure to introduce me around at NanoCon. We were known to them before this happened. I told them what happened. The stairs. Her head on concrete. Strangulation. Twice. I also told them Secular Rarity had been having hours-long conversations with Nancy since it happened. I watched as Nancy began to doubt her own memories. At that point, Nancy wanted it all to go away. She didn't stand up for herself, as so many victims don't. And I was shocked that RFR, an organization of therapists, seemingly couldn't recognize a trauma response. At that time, I implored both organizations, please don't platform SR right now. I was still hoping for restorative justice. I tried reaching out to the Creator Accountability Network, but they just sent back a "sorry, we can't do anything" message. Meanwhile, the community carried on, telling and creating stories of Nancy's behavior that night. It was said she wanted to take SR back to her room, but that would have been very awkward, since me and my daughter were in there. Sure must have been fun to spread that salacious gossip, though. I didn't yet understand how far the new story had spread. That story was ready to be weaponized against Nancy when she finally told her husband what happened. His shock helped her see how serious it actually was. After weeks of having the situation downplayed by her friends, she was still trying to pretend everything was fine so she wouldn't lose her friends, so things could go back to normal. Nancy realized she should have pressed charges, and she finally did. But by then, a few people, most of them friends of SR's, had engaged her in online sexual activity. They made her feel loved, made her feel like if she spoke out, she'd lose that love. This is common in communities where violence like this happens. People sexualize the victim to stabilize their own worldview. Those connections destabilized Nancy and confused and delayed her healing. When she finally pressed charges, the new story was flipped on her. She was blamed, shamed, and ridiculed. If she's doing these sexual things now, she must have wanted it then. It was the purest form of slut-shaming. It shows a deep lack of understanding about consent in the community in general, and reveals how dangerous secular and atheist events really are. The lead investigator for these groups, Elliot Cantor, has done dozens of investigations at atheist events over the years. Dozens. That's weird. They didn't say anything about that on the flyer. It's even more concerning that the leaders of these orgs knew Nancy's story, but acted on something different. Because the ACA has continued platforming SR, and RFR has now elevated him to lead their secular leadership courses. So what does that say? It says the org simply decided Nancy's lying, or they don't see a problem with his behavior. And women watching this can see it clearly. These spaces are not safe. Not just because of one guy, but because of the subtle action and inaction that reveals something deeper. It revealed a lack of trauma-informed leadership and a culture that still thrives on hatred of women. Please take note that the women coming to these spaces come from high-control environments, cults, and churches, and they are some of the most vulnerable. They were taught to submit to authority, to stay quiet, to protect the group. Nancy and I have nothing to gain from this, and we've already lost so much. This is about stopping harm and holding a community to standards that actually keep people safe. In Nancy's letter, her final statement to this community, she asked for one thing, that secular Rarity be deplatformed. And instead, he's been elevated. So here's my ask. If you want to see the ACA and Recovering from Religion do better, please reach out to them and insist that they follow Nancy's wishes. Better yet, walk away from the toxic online atheist space. Go find a group in your local community doing the good work of feeding people, sheltering them, protecting them from ICE, or tearing down the institutions that won't do those things. Women shouldn't have to worry about violence anywhere, and yet, the spaces that claim safety the loudest are failing the most.
All right. Uncle Bobby, you back with me?
Right here, man. Right here.
Give me just a couple minutes to play something for you.
Okay.
And you'll see the connection.
Okay.
The game's just about to start. And Michael walks over to Lacey and he points and says, "We took care of you." Then he looks at Kent and he says, "We took care of you." And he looks at me and we take care of you today.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win! And Chicago has knocked off the Cavs 101.
We vindicated from when we started the playoff. The dim look that everybody was giving us. Even I asked you in the locker room, I asked everybody, what was the feeling back in Chicago? Did it write us off yet? And when you said some of them have written us off, I said, well, tell those guys to stay home.
Get the fuck out of here. Go fucking anywhere, but you out of here. Whoever's not with us, all you fuckers go to hell.
Infamous Jordan rules, the Pistons' defensive tactics designed to contain their namesake, are enforced whenever Michael is on the floor.
As soon as he steps in the paint, hit him.
John Sally.
So this is a Jordan rule. Every time you go to fucking basket, put him on the ground.
How bad do you want it? Are you willing to be injured to score a basket?
I don't know how you came out of it alive.
We tried to physically hurt Michael.
Jordan had no place to go. Robert.
How legitimate was the hatred between those Bulls teams and those Pistons?
Oh, I hated him. And yeah, he carries even to this day. They made it personal.
Clyde the Glide says we're the two best in the game, but I'm not getting into a war of words with Mike.
Clyde was a threat. I'm not saying he wasn't a threat, but me being compared to him, I took offense to that.
So he hit that first three, and then here come the second one. The third one.
Jordan with 4 3-pointers and a half has tied the NBA Finals record. Jordan again from downtown. Did you see that look? Michael indicating he can't believe it. NBA championship record, 35 points.
You know, pause it for a second. Pause it for a second. Yeah, I love this video. I've watched this. I love it all, but I can't lie. You know what this kicks me back to? It was the first self-defense class I ever taught for little girls. And I'm talking 6th grade. And so you really had to deliver the message, but deliver it in a very age-appropriate way. And when you sit here and you talk about Jordan, someone with just that dogged determination, just I refuse to quit, beat me in the paint, do whatever you got to do. But just so you know, you're walking away from this court a loser. I don't care what happens. You're going to lose. And I remember this little girl, and it was the first time I ever got this question. And she just kept asking, what if, what if, what if? Well, what if I kick him in between his legs, like she said, but he keeps coming after me? What if I do this, but he keeps going? And she probably ripped off about 10 what ifs. And I just remember, I just call her Susie. Like, Susie, here's my best answer to that. If he's going to be that guy, then you have to be that girl. He clearly has demonstrated that he does not care. And he will do anything, and forgive the reference to everyone who's listening, he will do anything to achieve his goal. So now you have to be that girl. You have to turn it all the way up.
All the way up.
Yeah.
All the way up.
Like my man Jordan.
All the way up.
You take it personally.
Yep.
And if a kick in the balls won't do it, then you tear his balls off of his body.
Mm-hmm.
If a punch to the cheek doesn't do it, then you eye gouge him to the point to where his eyeball comes out and hits him. If he's going to be that guy, then you have to be that girl. And playing the Jordan clip was like, I took it personally. Again, I don't care what happens. Just know when the clock hits 0, when the game is over, you will be on the short end of that stick. And it just made me think about that little girl who just kept asking, what if? It's like, again, if he's going to be that guy, then you have to be that girl.
Yeah. And let me just say, from where I sit, I learned the same thing as a community organizer. That when it comes to what people like to call politics or dealing with social issues or nonprofits and all that shit, I don't give a fuck what they talk about on C-SPAN, CNN, none of that bullshit. This shit is about motherfuckers' real lives. You talk about pensions and all that shit. No, we talking about real policy. We talking about who's going to be the fucking mayor up in this bitch today. And it's a power game. So it's a fucking street fight. They bring in people like me because we are all the way clear-eyed about the street fight in which we find ourselves.
Yep.
And what has to be done to take this community. We ain't asking for permission. We gonna have to take this shit. So the reason I played that and you made, I think, which is such a meaningful instant connection, like, ladies, you got to get your Jordan on, because if he's willing to summon all his strength, talents, and abilities to terrorize you, you gonna have to summon a whole lot more terror to make sure you walk up out of here and he doesn't have that opportunity going forward.
Absolutely. And I see the where is it? How about the women that are prosecuted for standing up for themselves? I knew a woman who, okay, I'm going to be honest. Do that shit. Do that shit. At the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. And from what I understand, and this is where my friend who got the purple belt underneath me, this is where she would, she was great at this portion of it. And one thing that she would, is it 100% across the board? Absolutely not. But when a guy that looks like me, and I'm standing in court against a woman, I'm like, oh, this is just, some garbage. I was just, reading the book of Ecclesiastes, and then this, 4-foot woman just comes and beats the dog shit out of me. It's like, who do you think the court is going to believe? Obviously, it's not 100%.
Right.
So what about the women that are prosecuted for standing up for themselves? One, that fucking sucks. And for the woman that gets punished for standing up for herself, all I can say is that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
But two, please, 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 please listen to me when I say this. Do not think about the legal ramifications, potential legal ramifications. If a guy is in between your legs that you did not invite, you do whatever you have to do to remove him from in between your legs.
Right.
If you eye gouge him and render him blind, if you kick him in between his legs so hard that you render him sterile, you do what you have to do to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
He's not thinking about his legal ramifications. Well, what if I get caught? What if I'm labeled a sex offender? I'll never get a real job ever again. He's not thinking about it. Just like Stephanie, the sixth grader.
Yeah.
What if he's going to be that guy? You don't have a choice. You have to be that girl.
Yeah.
So I know that's a horrible answer, but it's the truth.
I'm also comfortable saying it's rare because I've worked in a prosecutor's office.
Okay.
And I know legal professionals have very little desire to prosecute the victims of crimes. So I don't want to say it doesn't happen, but usually I'm sure when that type of thing happens, there's additional factors there. For instance, when it moves from no longer a self-defense situation to a premeditated something else, or way past reasonable defense or whatever it is. Right? So don't let that type of thing, because it almost feels like like the wrong conversation to be having, because it's very unlikely to go down that way. Because people understand, and again, this is America. You have the right to life, liberty, and all that blase and constitutional flavonoids. So
absolutely.
This is you maintaining your autonomy, and if you don't have the right to defend yourself, you do. And again, I don't think this is a conversation men worry about when they're talking about it, you know what I mean? So it's always weird that we put this on women, and it's like, nah, listen, just learn how to handle your business, and it is what it is. But let me talk about why the other reason I brought that Jordan piece in. That's what I need this community to do from a perspective of shutting things down. One of the things I loved about what you said about your martial arts disciplines is that they were think about that. Think about the evolution. Sorry, the evolution hit me. They were the disciplines of let's all come together with the real spirit of mixed martial arts, and let's figure out how to keep the best of what works and toss the rest of it aside. And this is going to be the art of the real shit, the street fighting. This is going to be that real shit. But then when the master's family member got because he did the real shit and laid the motherfucker out, but didn't take him all the way up out of here, and then dude got up off the ground and murdered him, we was like, we're never gonna let that happen again. So now this is the art of overkill. Now this is the art of overkill. It's not I'm just gonna neutralize the threat. It's I'm gonna make the threat totally inactive and unable to continue to be a threat.
It's and yes, I did watch the first season of Baki, Wayne. I saw that comment. But one thing that I learned from my father, other than you do what's right because it's the right thing to do, a lot of times the right thing isn't the most popular thing. And when I think about the trailblazers, and one thing that, when I get into these arguments at work, which I try to avoid, but you guys got to understand something. Today's villains are tomorrow's heroes. You guys got to understand, this country hated Martin Luther King. We celebrate him now, but in the 60s, this was America's most hated. His phones were tapped by government agencies, accused of being a communist. And this country loved MLK so much, they killed him. And I think, was it Time magazine, I think? It was 3 years after he took his last breath where they named the top 10 most hated Americans. Over 1,000 days after he died, he was still on the list of the most hated people in America. My point is, the right thing to do sometimes isn't the most popular. Now, you may get your flowers 50 years from now, like again, we love him, okay.
Yeah.
We hated him so much. We loved that man so much.
Right. Now, look.
We killed him, right? So, again, it's the right thing to do is usually not the most popular thing to do.
Now, look, Uncle Bobby, I'm going to tie it all the way back to our earlier conversation about professional development and levels to the game and the difference between the pros and, all right, so now with Michael Jordan, right, now we're within the pros, right? And Michael Jordan is such a gifted, supernatural athlete, right, number one. Number two, such a skilled basketball player in terms of his techniques and shit he can actually do in the game, right? And number three, such a brilliant basketball mind, right? So he's got the freakish athletics shit, he's got the unbelievable skills and expertise, and he's got the mind for this that they've just never even, right? But the thing that made him really, really a killer was obviously his approach, his preparation, how hard he worked, his discipline, his drive, right? Just playing basketball all the goddamn time, right? So what's amazing is here he is, literally all those things coming together such that he is literally in real time emerging as the greatest ever. The levels to the levels to the levels, right? Not just a pro, not just an all-star, not just first team All-NBA, not just a superstar, not just an MVP, not just an NBA champion, right? The GOAT.
Yeah.
Right. On the Mount Rushmore, no matter who you ask, right?
Absolutely.
What's amazing is so many of the lessons in that. He was still looking for, and people that want to watch that video, we dropped the link, they can check it out. But it's like he took everything so personally. He was constantly looking for motivation to like take shit personal, to motivate him to take his shit to the next level. Did you look at me the wrong way? Oh, did you compliment me, but I didn't like the tone in your voice when you complimented me? Does your coach like you? Michael Jordan's like, oh, I don't like your coach and your coach likes you. I'm fucking your shit all the way up. Right? Oh, did you win the MVP?
Oh, yeah.
Did you win the MVP when I was an option? Oh, fuck you. You're definitely not winning the championship because you won the MVP. You had the audacity to have your best career fucking effort. Oh, no.
How dare you?
Oh, no, we can't have that. Right?
No, yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell people in this community is like, y'all need to take this shit personally. You're connected to this space. You're no more than 2 or 3 social links away from Nancy and Patti. You're watching this content. You're watching these channels. You've been supporting these organizations. You've been going on and on about how great and wonderful the secular community is, and everybody's recovering from this religious trauma. And now something like this happens, and we find out there's a pattern such that these things have been happening historically. Over time. Earlier, I covered a murder from 95 in the atheist woman was murdered by a former employee, and they didn't find her body till like 6 years later. Like, you know, and then there's been a history at these conferences and things going back 10, 15 years. Like, there's such a history. And then this person we found out from a former victim, he has a history, and she thinks he has antisocial personality disorder. So we have a whole ass sociopath potentially. I'm not diagnosing anybody. Running around. She claims he said he targets people coming out of high control religious groups. They're the perfect targets. He's a master manipulator.
Yeah, man.
You see what I'm saying? And then it's like y'all gotta. So one thing I'm proud of is, like, for me, it's like everybody sitting around the table at the end of Don't Look Up talking about we tried like a motherfucker, is I want to be able to look Nancy and Patti in the face and say, I tried. And I took the shit personally because Nancy's my friend, Patty's my good friend, and I act like, what would I do if this happened to one of my students? When I ask myself, what would I have to do if this happened to one of my students? Oh, I'm all the way out of the bed, ready to roll and be at these fools' heads, necks, and shoulders every single fucking day on this bitch, right? So, and what I'm proud to report is motherfuckers out here who are actually paying attention and responding to this shit will not talk about Elliot Martin. They will not talk about what Elliot did that was fucked up. They will not talk about what all these organizations did that was fucked up. They will not talk about the coercive cover up. But what they will talk about is Dr. J. Bundy and how much Dr. J. Bundy, who's the only person been covering this constantly, is fucking it all the way up. And you shouldn't listen to him. And he is the worst, to the extent that these people are constantly reaching out to my real life supervisors trying to get me fired. And this is the shit I be telling my students. Like, you ain't got no motion if you ain't got no enemies. If you ain't got no haters, it's because you ain't doing shit. I don't know what you thought you was doing, but if everything, whatever you thought you was doing, had everybody getting along with you and everybody loved you and it was all love, then you really wasn't doing shit. Because when you're really doing some shit, you should be pissing somebody all the way to fuck off. And they should be mad that you even exist. Just the fact that you got up this goddamn morning and continue to breathe oxygen, their whole day is fucked all the way up already. Just because you got up this goddamn morning. And boy, are they trying to let you know. They ain't fucking with you. They trying to get you fired. They trying to start rumors about you. They trying to get all your friends to turn on you. They trying to make sure you get black. They trying to make sure your whole life gets turned all the way upside down. Then you like, we making progress up in this bitch. Hell yeah. This is good. This is a good goddamn thing. So I'm just trying to tell people, what would it look like for you to take it personal? Go ahead. What did they say?
Is that the cost of being a good person?
Is that the cost of being a good person in this space? Pretty much. For real.
It's again, it's today's villains are tomorrow's heroes. In that, again, the first of anything is a token. Again, we love to celebrate Jackie Robinson, and we should celebrate Jackie Robinson. But what people don't know is his life was a living hell. He just didn't go from being the first black baseball player in the majors to be celebrated. He was still a nigger who was not allowed to drink from the same water fountains as his teammates, not allowed to stay in the same hotel rooms. For those of you that are familiar with the name, Heman Sweat. Heman Sweat was the first black person admitted into the UT Law School. We celebrate the shit out of him, plaques everywhere, but it literally drove him into a literal depression. He lost relationships. He never graduated because his life was, he's celebrated now. But again, the first of anything is a token. And yeah, it's like, again, Martin Luther King. Is it for the exact same people who pulled their pants down and dookied all over Black Lives Matter? And I told people at work when this was the subject du jour, it's if you think BLM is bad, you would have hated MLK. You know what they all said? Oh no, we love him. It's like, what do you think he did? What do you think? What do you think a sit-in is?
Right.
He literally tried to strangle small businesses to death.
Right.
He sat in restaurants and prevented them from making money because they were racist.
Right.
And so when BLM is marching and everything else, again, it's sometimes, just sometimes, in order to be that person, you have to be willing to be the most unpopular person in the group. To have people turn their back on you, to say, you ain't shit.
But I love it now because now you've given me new language because I'm tying my philosophy of community organizing to your philosophy of self-defense. We went from, let me show y'all how to do the street fight to fuck that, right? That was boycott NanoCon. Now we're doing the art of overkill. shut down NanoCon. Matter of fact, shut down all the conferences. Matter of fact, shut down all the organizations. Matter of fact, put a stranglehold on all these fucking content creators. Burn this to the ground because they done fucked around and act like we're willing to let somebody die behind this and cover this up. And if we don't shut it all down over this, then we're telling them, we're coaching them that this is okay. And the next time some fucked up shit happens, no matter how bad it gets, no matter if somebody dies all the way for real, then just do this shit again. Just act like it didn't happen. Do the smear campaign. Do the coercive. I mean, people is out here about to blow their heads off on YouTube over this. And I'm like, so it's like, so when are people going to take it personally? You see what I'm saying, Uncle Bobby? When are they going to be like, when are they going to be like, yo, like that's why I've been telling people too, like, we got to start doing the counter apologetics against the YouTube atheism, secular humanism thing. First of all, for those that are late to the party, secular humanism was always coded for patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy. I know that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but let me break it down for you. Basically, it's like the Bernie Sanders movement, right? When people think of the Bernie Sanders movement, they think of, oh, super leftist, social democrat, Red Scare, and some of that is merited. But if you really look at the core of that movement, that core was trying to say it's the economy, stupid. And the subtext of it's the economy, stupid, is it's the economy only. And so by saying it's the economy only, we sidestep other issues of marginalization. We sidestep the real class warfare necessary to deal with the economic issues. Bernie Sanders recently endorsed billionaires for office. We sidestep race, we sidestep gender, we sidestep LGBTQ issues, we sidestep scientific progress, we sidestep a whole array and a range of things. And so then if you look at who that attracted a lot of middle class, decently educated white folks who otherwise needed their energy to be captivated into genuinely progressive and leftist energy, instead got swept up in this thing. And then because of that messaging, marginalized groups realized they wasn't really fucking with us. And so then if you look at like a Bernie quote unquote rally, who was really there, it would look pretty much like a white evangelical church. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have better policies about the economy, but the culture of the hyperfixation on the economy allowed it to, again, perpetuate patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy under a guise that just, it was like, you don't use that language, like you say, right? The bar is so low. If I don't use the N-word, if I don't say we hate black people, then it's like we can't talk about how the structures we're creating are actually still perpetuating the same problems, right? And so if you look at secular humanism and atheism on YouTube, it's always been the same thing. It's always been the same priestly class that was doing the church bullshit, doing the same shit, but now it's counter apologetics. The only motherfuckers that are central to the spaces, central to the organization, central to making the money, central to promoting all these conferences is this artificially constructed class of elitist white boys, usually with no real world qualifications. They just used to be preachers or used to want to be apologists. And the same way in the news space, we have all these white boys sitting in their fucking basement talking about they're the leftist media. And then they don't know who fucking FD Signifier or some of the largest leftist black voices in the goddamn globe are. And it's like, yeah, because you're a white boy who didn't even bother to finish school for real, sitting in your goddamn mother's basement, and now you've like self-appointed yourself the leftist news people. And so the same shit has been happening in this whole secular humanist space. It was always like, oh no, religion is the problem, and now we're the new elite class because we're secular humanists and we do not God. But when anytime marginalized people were like, yo, let's really get about that business, let's get into racism, let's get into LGBTQ stuff, let's talk about what's going on with women, let's talk about what's going on in the world, we were always pushed to the side, pushed to the side, pushed to the side. The only minority and intersectionally marginalized people that get platformed are tokenized. They're always tokens and people who are willing to not rock the boat, not call out the bullshit, and just go along and get along and to continue to be promoted and elevated. And if you step outside of that, they cut you all the way off from fucking everything.
Damn.
So it's always been that. Go ahead.
No, I just saying that just really speaks to no matter what the organization is, unchecked power, it can be in cancer. Now, I never experienced this, but when you are as untouchable as the Boy Scouts, I mean, just in the last 10 years, we're learning that some of these scout leaders are absolute pedophiles and predators. Well, I can't think of a better mask to put on. You know, one thing I tell the ladies at the self-defense class, and that is, if a predator ever looked like a predator, he would never predate. If he looked like what you were thinking, he would never get close to his victims. What says trust me more than a scout leader, a Catholic priest, a teacher, a cop? And so I don't care what organization. How easy is it to pick on the Catholics, the SBCs? But then what you don't want to do is, as a group of non-believers, sit here and be like, oh, there's dirt underneath our rug. That's some crap, right?
Right.
If you made it to the top and that power is unchecked, and you have that kind of personality that you'll take advantage of that unchecked, it doesn't matter what group you belong to. An asshole is still an asshole, and a predator is still a predator.
Right.
And so again, it's easy, to get blinded because, fun fact, no one ever thinks that they're evil.
Fun fact.
Right? And I please give me leniency when I say what it is I'm getting ready to say. The Third Reich didn't think they were evil. The Third Reich thought they were doing the right thing.
Yep.
And so you, as the outsider, you're like, man, those they're just gross. They're black-hearted. Just sitting on some. They didn't think so.
Yeah.
And so when you're sitting in a group and that group is unchecked and it's just allowed to run amok, right? Give that kind of juice to the wrong people. Corruption is going to happen, and it does not matter what label it is hanging over your head. You're still a predator. You're still an asshole. You're still corrupt. You're still crooked. Whatever negative label. But the fucked up thing is, the people doing it, they never think that they're the bad guys.
Yeah. And it should bother people that, like, the Apostate Sisters, I think, were targeted in the sense of being, like you talked about earlier, them looking for the slowest gazelles. They're very forward about coming out of a very high control religious cult when they were growing up, and the history of people pleasing and having to, give things over to male authority and hold power left unaccountable. And then, Nancy's forward about her, sort of sexual, desires and thoughts and interest. And then, we see this happen with them at the center of it. And again, we're so unwilling to recognize, okay, maybe I did fall into a quote unquote community that has some toxic dynamics in it that really needs to be addressed. We're so unwilling to face that music that we allow this to happen. Let me transition us, just so I can keep us going, into actually I need a second, because I need to use the little boy's room again. I don't know why.
Yeah, go ahead. And just so you know, I got about another 20 minutes. I got some stuff to do.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Ready for takeoff?
Whoa. Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Bron James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Just the John on them jets, cause we wildin'. But the bowl is a party on the island. Moment of silence. So good, get back to the topic. Grew up, it was me and Flocka. Grandma's and Big T, this my mama. I ain't even for the pain when my pops flipped. Knew his name, that's it, never bothered. Mom said, you the man, son, you got this. Ever since I found a way to go and pop shit. Hold up, blaze through a whole zip. Took a seat at the table of my first flip. Days in red roof for my first whip. Split the money with the gang, never post pics. Seen the change in the game, had to coach it. Never let them take my wangs in the mold, bitch. Ever made in a month, nigga. Used to serve him at the minute just to front, nigga. Goddamn. Had to grow up quick, I made my own rules. Had my first child, got it jumping with music. Can't really hang with nobody who losing. I thought by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that zag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at. Started ballin' now, Chris Paul and Cats. Got them steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back. And that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic...
All right, let me give y'all a little quick whirlwind tour, and this is the type of thing I'm talking about. So I've covered these things more extensively elsewhere, but the other day, this is a stream from Drew Beckius and Stacy Beckius. You may have heard of the Stacy's Mom podcast.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Stacy. That's Stacy Beckius and Drew Beckius. That's Stacy from Stacy's Mom, and D is Stacy's mom. D Murphy, I think her name is. Stacy is the person that found Nancy. So after the assault, Stacy found Nancy. I'm assuming, makes them aware of what happened. And they get Nancy to Patti. They have not come forward and talked about what happened to her, what they experienced in NanoCon in any meaningful way. But when we first revealed it in December, Drew posted a link on his Facebook page and then proceeded to let all the flying monkeys dogpile. Flying monkeys are people who take up for the abuser instead of the victim. So why would they do that? Why would the woman that found the victim, why would her husband post a video about this after they haven't spoken out about it and let everyone dogpile the victim on his Facebook thread? Over 160 messages, all victim blaming. We're going to see some of them. The answer is actually because he's afraid of John Gleason and Casey Gleason. John Gleason is GE of Godless Engineer. Hosts a channel called Godless Engineer. He's also on The Line and a bunch of other channels. So this is them like playing in our face. This is just a couple days ago. They're literally on a stream talking about whose job is it to protect women. So they're anointing themselves. Like that's what all these flying monkey people have done. They've anointed themselves the conference safety committee. Let's talk about women's safety people for some odd reason, but they won't talk about what happened. And so here they are showing the audience charm alarms, which are these cute little alarms women can get and attach to their bags for when they attend these events. So again, the people that found her, the yellow belly cowards, like you would probably call them, who will not speak out about the trauma that they witnessed, instead of really talking about, hey, let's shut down NanoCon, they are getting the rub, getting the grift, and telling folks, hey, look, fuck what you heard in the streets, grab a charm alarm, and let's head out for NanoCon. While they're then promoted as the hottest couple at NanoCon because of all their sexy couples, sexy comedy. They're all hypersexualizing NanoCon. And that's what I mean about playing in people's faces. Right. And so that's Skeptic Haven, and here's Skeptic Haven, with doing stuff with all of these people. Here's an upcoming stream with Ember, one of the Flying Monkeys, and John Gleason of Godless Engineer. So all of these, and this is all the stuff they've been doing, like covering this stuff up. There they are with AJ Ruley, the queen of the cover-up, Misinterpretations, one of the other people. And so all these people know this shit is happening. There they are with Elliot on their channel. But that's a year ago, so that may have been. But they do have stuff with him since then. They've done stuff with him since then. They fucking. We told them and asked them not to platform him, and they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck. Here's other people from his organization. Here are people from Black Non-Believers. Black Non-Believers know about this. Mandisa has been made personally aware. Kelly from Black Non-Believers is one of the Flying Monkeys, and now Cam, who we all really like, Cynthia McDonald, is also in on the Flying Monkey BS and the victim blaming. And yeah, here's their stuff with Elliot from a month ago, with Elliot and the queen of the cover-up, AJ. Like, here's the dude from the Creator Accountability Network who they contacted, who Patti mentioned in the video. They basically like, well, hey, the Predator didn't sign up for the Predator Accountability Network, so there's really nothing we can do about that. Sorry. So this is what I mean. It's like, what is it going to take for people to take this personally? Then we can go over to the NanoCon 3000. This, I don't know why that's they keep changing their fucking YouTube handle for some reason. But now they've got, they're doing videos with conference safety with, again, AJ, the queen of the cover-up. Literally, this is after Bre in that video almost takes herself all the way up out of here on YouTube and says, I don't want to go along with AJ's story. AJ wrote the cover-up story. I don't want to go along with AJ's scripted cover-up. And here she is with the guy who botched the internal investigation, talking about NanoCon conference safety coordinator Elliot Cantor answers community concerns. The same person that that Patti just told people has botched dozens of these investigations. Boom, here he is with literally the person leading the smear campaign, advertising NanoCon safety in everybody's face, just playing in our faces about it. And then today, or a day ago, they are advertising Glenda Jordan, who is one of the NanoCon featured speakers. So this is Glenda Jordan. Glenda Jordan's mother is Gail Jordan. Gail Jordan is in a long-term relationship with Elliot Cantor. This internal investigation dude, who this year is going to be on the board of NanoCon, is in a long-term relationship with this woman who's also a featured speaker at NanoCon, as is her daughter. There's a whole family tree involved in this bullshit. And somehow that's not a conflict of interest. Matter of fact, he literally said he's having one of his friends be the internal investigator this year to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest. Not a conflict of interest, but to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, since he's going to be on the board this year. This shit is so rotted to the core. And then look at the post. Look at the post. Glenda Jordan, legend of Glenda, pixie artist, entertainer, deviant sex educator. Because they always want to do sexy time at NanoCon. They want you to do polyamory classes and partner swapping, and there's orgy rooms at atheist events, and they're hypersexualizing all of this shit. So they want you, after hearing about last year, someone that was thrown down the stairs, sexually assaulted and strangled. They want you to sign up for sexy time at NanoCon. Come get some deviant sex education. I mean, if that doesn't make your blood boil, Uncle Bobby, I'm like, what's going on with your blood? You know what I'm saying? There's your Forrest Valkais. There's your Monte Mater. She don't give a fuck. She don't care about none of this. Matt Dillahunty said it was all community drama and then added himself to the roster or became the featured speaker. Like he's all the way petty about this shit. Like it's the whole fucking atheist community that is rotted because all those organizations, they all overlap. Like all of these so over here is like the speakers, here's the sponsors for NanoCon, like Polaris Financial Planning, the American Humanist Association, American Atheist, Godless Engineer, Black Nonbelievers, Humanists of Tennessee, the ACA that she was talking about, the Atheist Community of Austin, Secular Rising, that's the organization that Elliot started and all his friends are running, Recovering from Religion, that's she was talking about RFR, and the Secular Therapy Project, they're the same. That Recovering from Religion and the Secular Therapy Project are the same people. The Secular Student Alliance probably isn't directly involved, but some of their key speakers and supporters are, and they've been made aware of this. And again, nothing from them. The Clergy Project, some of their leadership is also involved as featured speakers in NanoCon, and Drew and these people used to be leaders in the Clergy Project. I don't know much about Americans United for Separation of Church and State in Nashville, but again, we do know Elliot is deep in all of these little small secular groups in and around the area, the Nashville greater area that this shit is all taking place in. Think Squared Media, don't know shit about them. Stephen Barry, Ellen T. Massage, don't know anything about him. Don't know anything about Astral Pride, but they're new. They're new. They haven't always been here, so sponsors are being added. Polaris Financial Planning, I don't know shit about them either. But or the Humanist of Tennessee, but again, he's involved in all those local Tennessee type chapters. So the whole fucking secular humanist bullshit structure was always just these people trying to recreate the same type of exploitive, capitalistic, patriarchal, white supremacist social structure business plan as they had in churches. It's just now they do it under the brand of
Different
atheism.
umbrella.
Yeah, just a different umbrella. And again, here's that video with Bre, you know, and
It's
she
not about my meds. Jesus fucking Christ. And irresponsibly go on camera and I got fucking 24 B. So, like, what is this now? Oh, you push me and push me and now I'm here up on the edge and everybody wants to come in and talk me down. Right? I've been on the fucking edge for months because of this shit. And none of it's all like, no, we have to keep quiet to protect somebody's reputation. You need to stop talking about this, Bre. You need to stop talking about this. You need to just put everything aside that I'm a person who loves, okay? That's all. I don't want to be part of this. I don't. I'm just reading what you all are saying. I just want to be able to be honest. And if I think somebody misbehaved and they had bad behavior, I want to be able to say it and not be like, oh, well, if you say that, then we're not going to be your friend anymore. Oh, what is... Please tell me fucking Bundy's not in here.
Again, nobody want to talk about Elliot, everyone want to talk about me. But no, in that video, she goes on to say that it's AJ, that it's AJ that's got this story, and AJ wrote the script, and she doesn't agree with AJ's story, and she doesn't want to go along with AJ's story, and that's that same AJ that's playing in everybody's face about conference safety. And now Maya Atkinson's doing a conference safety video with AJ in the Elliot Cantor guy. So now, you know, everybody's over here. If you go to Maya's Bad Science Sunday, you know, this week's is Elliot Cantor and AJ, the same people from NanoCon, the internal investigator and the queen of the cover-up, the person running around spreading the smear campaign to talk about community safety at NanoCon. And then the next week she's going to be with Joe and that same AJ that's running around leading the smear campaign and talk about community safety at the Ark Encounter protest before NanoCon. I mean, it's the Ark Encounter protest. Then you go to like, I could get y'all up here to say, here's Rocket City Reason. And Rocket City Reason is, you know, you could see the featured speakers, the same people from the line, and who runs it, who are the conference organizers, John and Casey Gleason, godless engineer and his wife. So again, the mob boss, who for some reason people are so afraid of that they won't speak out about what they saw when they're the couple that found Nancy. They won't speak out because they are so afraid of John and Casey Gleason. So you already see that the ARC protest is run by flying monkeys. NanoCon is run by these cover-up people. And now the next one, which is going to be Rocket City, this is the time for John and Casey to get their payout, for them to get their payola as the conference organizers. And then you get people connected. This is Sydney Davis Jr., the comedian lady, and she's all about, you know, comedy and all of that type of shit. She's one of Elliot's good friends and is one of the Secular Rising board members. And so, and then who are their featured speakers? People from the line, you know, people from these same organizations. Another NanoCon speaker, the Skeptic. He's one of these people, that British talking head, the Skeptic guy. He's he's down with these people. He's been part of the Flying Monkey response the whole time. There's Arden Hart from the line. This whole thing isn't. There's Mandisa Thomas. There's Chad Harris, who was ganging up on her godless granny. Who knows what she's up to? But all these people are in on this. So all of these events, all of these motherfuckers, they're secularizing the organization that the assaulter started. There's Godless Engineer. Of course, his channel is going to be one of the sponsors, the American Humanists. All these organizations are incestual. They all have the same people, and they're all part of this coercive cover-up about NanoCon. And the reason they don't want anybody talking about NanoCon and doing what we're doing, the reason they're trying to get me fired, Uncle Bobby, is because we're trying to shut it down, the art of overkill, making it impossible for these people to do business as usual. We're like, we got to shut all the conferences down. We got to let all the financial support needs to get pulled for these organizations. If y'all going to act like this and be playing in people's faces about it, I mean, when Uncle Bobby, they sold merchandise. Uncle Bobby, let me take the shit off the screen. Uncle Bobby, they sold merchandise, y'all. Let me explain this shit to y'all. If you look at the term flying monkey psychology, flying monkeys are individuals who act on behalf of a narcissist or abuser to manipulate, harass, or spy on a target, often spreading rumors or enforcing the narcissist or abuser's false narrative. They function as intermediaries who do the abuser's quote-unquote dirty work, enabling ongoing abuse, isolation, and control while allowing the narcissist to maintain a facade of innocence. The key aspects are manipulation and deception. Flying monkeys are often misled by the narcissist, adopting a false narrative and acting as agents to defend the narcissist or attack the target. Motivations: they are rarely malicious on their own, but are motivated by fear of becoming the next target, a desire for approval, or a need for validation from the narcissist or the social circle. Shared fantasy / codependence, right? All these lies about Nancy. What is all this mythology about Nancy? It's a shared fantasy. Some are drawn into a shared fantasy, believing they are rescuing the narcissist, the real victim, from the target, which in this case would be Nancy, the real bad person. Others are enmeshed, codependent, or have experienced abuse, resulting in a diminished sense of self. And then psychological needs, they may feed on the drama or feel special for being part of the narcissist inner circle. So you have all this going, and then you have these literal corrupt organizational structures that are also doing this because they want to maintain the appearance of, being above the fray and not being involved in this. But they are, because they're all using the secular YouTube space as the storefront to promote these events and organizations. That's how they get bodies. That's how they sell tickets. That's how they get people referred to the quote unquote services they provide. That's how their institutions grow. That's how they gain traction and popularity. They don't advertise on the radio. They don't fucking buy television commercials. They get promoted by secular YouTubers. So now all the secular YouTubers won't talk about what happened to Nancy at NanoCon, because if they start talking about what happened to Nancy at NanoCon, Godless Engineer and all these flying monkey type people and all these organizations are going to put the pressure campaign on them. Uncle Bobby, people could get the business out here for being in our chat. People have been hit up in hours after just having their name appear as one of the commenters in one of our streams, and the flying monkeys are swarming them and trying to send them all the fucking smear campaign material. So like the whole shit is really, really rotted to the core. You see what I'm trying to say? Like it's like it's fucked up.
Okay, this is disturbing.
It is
disturbing. I gotta rock out here in a little bit, but just from what it is I've learned, if I put the flying monkey stuff off to the side for just half a second,
sure.
If there's one thing that it's kind of stuck with me from when you first started telling me about this, if something happens to one of y'all, please be strong enough. And again, no fault of your own. I don't know if strong's even the word to use, to speak up. But more importantly, to the people listening that are in a position to be able to support someone when it's time to speak up, please support these people. Again, this is such a unique crime. And I think about that very first video that I saw, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Right? Again, when someone comes forward, whether it's the next day or 2 months after, whatever the situation may be, support that person. They're literally on a goddamn island. And if there's one thing, you don't have to be 7th degree black belt, but it's such a unique crime. To where, again, if I go into a Klans meeting and I get hung by the neck, people may be sad, but no one's going to be shocked, right? But one thing that everyone's going to say is like, oh man, that was sitting on some bullshit. But when it comes time for a sex crime, what ends up happening is the lack of support. She came forward, and it just really seems like not enough people put the arm around her and said, like, talk, I got you. I support you. I listen to you. I believe you. And what I said, 2 hours ago, guys, this is kind of on us. We can't ask the women to hit a reset button on a system that they didn't create. This is on us.
Right.
But it's everyone's responsibility to circle the wagons around the person who's been hurt and say, it's going to be okay. I believe you. But I mean, God damn, if I just leave anyone with anything, it's just that don't be afraid to speak up. And it's on everyone else to make that person feel supported. no matter what buzzsaw you have to go against. But that person just endured hell, and they will remember it when they hit their 90th birthday. And if they can go through it, you can go through the hard stuff too by holding their hand
Yeah.
as they go through the bullshit. So I want to leave people with that. But God damn, this sounds horrible.
Yeah, and to leave people with a couple thoughts, Kyle, one of the key whistleblowers, has called it systemic contagion. Systemic contagion. And PC, Pragmatic Crystal, said, this is the most egregious thing that has happened in the atheist community that I even know of, and what have we gotten? Silence. So I want people to understand that this is not just, to me at this point, about the crime where Nancy was thrown down the stairs, sexually assaulted, and strangled. That we have, and it's been documented. And again, the only witness to what happened in that stairwell were Nancy and Elliot, and Nancy has given us a 10-page notarized statement. And Elliot, last time we heard, said, believe Nancy, for what it's worth. But we now also have Patti's story of her efforts to make people aware, the responses that she got, making sure people knew they were aware, and the continued elevation and platforming of him despite all that. And since then, since December, been documenting a cover-up, which we've now shown evidence includes someone almost committing suicide on YouTube because they did not want to go with the story. I'm going to say this as simply and as clearly as best I can. I'm not a legal professional. This is not legal advice. This is not legal judgment. But from what I understand about how crimes work, this is organized crime. This is an organized, systemic, coercive campaign to lead a smear campaign against a victim coming forward to blow the whistle. Nancy is the original whistleblower, blowing the whistle about what happened to her at an event. It is illegal to knowingly lead a smear campaign against this person. That's a crime. And you also, it's not legal to lead smear campaigns against other people for serving and supporting and engaging in whistleblower activity. So when you have us who can document where we've been canceled and deplatformed and, you know, had our supervisors contacted and been told that we're threatening people's lives because of Rocky quotes. I literally said, if they die, they die, which is something you know, because you say, if he dies on your channel, right?
Rocky
So I hit it with the, if they die, they die. Uncle Bobby, they literally emailed my PhD advisor and used that to say that I'm threatening people's lives. When I clarified that what I was saying was whatever social consequences these people face as a result of their behavior being exposed is the social consequences they face as a result of their behavior being exposed. Like you would say, when you make a decision, you choose the 5 minutes after.
Yeah.
So, but that was turned into a threat. But anyway, you have our personal stories and our personal documentation of the coercive efforts against us. That'd be me, Patti, PC, Kyle, Sumami, right? And then also now you have Bre on camera saying, yeah, I'm about to take myself all the way up out of here because people want me to go along with AJ's story, and I want to tell the truth. I don't want to go along with AJ's story, but they're contacting my loved ones and telling my loved ones I'm going to lose all my friends if I don't go along with AJ's story. And then the people who want her to go along with AJ's story have been summoned by AJ to swarm her and gaslight her as she's telling this story.
Yeah.
And so it's like all live on YouTube at this point, right? So, you know, I'm not even revealing private information or getting into things I might share with you off camera. I'm just going off of what's been broadcast in front of the entire space at this point. To me, pretty clearly looks like organized crime.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Let's do this one again.
I think that I was going to say the thing I think
that needs to be covered.
Yeah, I think what we could do, if you're down, and we may need some breaks or, you know, things may come up, but maybe we could try to do the blackout at least from now until NanoCon to draw more attention to this. And
let's definitely, and the self-defense series.
Yeah,
I'm really interested
we'll
in
map
that
out. Yeah, let's do that
too. Yeah, man. Jesus Christ.
All right, gang. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's let Uncle Bobby get out of here so we can get to the rest of the things he needs to do today. We appreciate y'all, and we'll plan to see you next time on the Blackout. Please head over to the Apostate Sisters channel. There's links in the description if you want to read Nancy's letter or watch some of the other key streams that we've done about these different things. There are also links in the descriptions to my playlist about all this and PC's playlist about all this. Mine sort of covers everything from my channel, and PC's includes community response streams that other channels have done, sort of like the Flying Monkey streams and the stuff they're trying to bury. One thing I want to leave you with, Uncle Bobby, is the reason I read that Flying Monkey's definition to you was because I wanted to remind people that when we first did this stream and I read the definitions, people understand we didn't do that stream to call these people names. We called these people flying monkeys because that's the proper term for the behavior, right? But they thought this shit was so funny. They all got like Team Flying Monkey t-shirts. And then they actually created like Flying Monkeys keychains and mugs, and they sold merchandise.
Wow.
And they posted like AI art of themselves as flying monkeys and made streams like, oh, I'd rather be a flying monkey. Again, it's the playing in our face that makes me ask our audience, when will you take this personally?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Uncle Bobby. I really appreciate it. All right, gang. Join us next time.
Thank you. Absolutely.
All right, gang. We'll see you next time.